how does the self-worth piece come into play?
I'll share a little bit about my story in kind of illustrating that. When it occurred to me that that tone of voice, being chastised for my tone of voice or being misunderstood because of my tone of voice, was such a frequent component of my communication. It also was about the time that, this was now 2013, that I was going through a separation with my husband at the time, which very quickly led to an unexpected divorce. Our daughter was 2, so I was completely shattered because that is not the life that I had foreseen for myself, let alone her. And in that depth of numbness, depression, anxiety, where you don't feel anything, I would wish that on no one. When you get to that point of feeling nothing, there was a powerful shift. I was reading a couple different books at the time, and one in particular really made me go, oh, it was like that first, I like that word, validation, to be able to let go. I was very controlling in the sense of how I wanted things to go or be, or when you're not heard, you push harder if you don't know to let it go or to trust that there are actually your aligned folks to hear you, whatever that may look like. So in that time, I just remember this, I don't think I was worthy of any of that life. And that was a shock to me because I knew I didn't have maybe the most confidence. I might have appeared confident in my work life and all of that, but I didn't really trust myself nor think I was worthy at all. And I became very aware of that because I had day in and day out critical mind chatter, as I call it, constantly. And it got louder and louder and louder until that moment of, oh, this is me feeling worthless. And then what does it feel like to have that little spark of, oh, I am worthy. I can let go of these things and still be worthy. I can be heard for myself first and foremost, and then be able to kind of expand from there. This is all, again, very hindsight cocky. It's literally one of these things, 10 years in the making of still trying to understand how to relay that initial transformation. It wasn't even until these last few years that I heard the term dark night of the soul, and I didn't know what that meant until I heard it, and I was like, oh, well, I can tell you when that happened to me. Like, great. Okay, that's what that was. So it felt like this shift to self-worth. So that was 10 years, 11 years ago. Time. Who knows? So in that time, remember how I was then talking about, so I'm in the thick of like working with these patients day in and day out. My expertise as a master clinician is growing. And yet I'm starting to see these similarities for people who also chastising themselves, judging, berating themselves, always having that running train of critical mind chatter. And when we have that going on up here, we are completely disconnected down here, disconnected from our heart. So to me, once that started to kind of formulate and we started to kind of focus in on that, both for myself and how I've chosen my self-growth path, but also in the way I started working with patients, the voice became it wasn't about improving it to get it back to a baseline. It was about it being the replenishing and recovering tool, gift, medicine, if you will. So it wasn't just, I want to make sure that my voice is clear, strong, powerful, It is, my voice can actually be the element that I use to connect, to bring forth that heart-centered, worthy self. I just think of it like a two-way street. It's not just something we're putting out there, it's something we can reflect back onto us. So back to the self-worth piece and the tone of voice, when that happened for me, and I recognized that I could choose to know and believe and started to feel that worthiness within and that connection, renewed connection to divine and source, I never, ever, not once, got commented about my tone of voice again.